Oh my god. Those vibrations are absolutely insane. Oh, it's actually making my hands feel weird. This is the LELO Loki Wave 2 and is probably one of the best things I own. And today I'm going to be doing a full product review of this incredible toy. I'm comparing it to the original Loki Wave. I want to start by saying that yes, this video is sponsored, but I had full freedom to choose which toy I wanted to review. And I was first sent the original Loki Wave over 4 years ago, and I instantly fell in love with it. And anyone who follows me on other platforms knows that I am very picky about who I endorse. But I've worked alongside LELO for a long time now, purely because they really are an industry leader when it comes to pleasure. I'm not exaggerating. The Loki Wave 2 is a vibrating prostate massager, which you turn on by holding the button on the front. And it really breaks my heart that some people don't understand how the prostate works. Some don't even know that it exists. There will be men or prostate owners who will go their entire life without experiencing the sensation of having your prostate massaged. And honestly, that's a tragedy. It is such a powerful erogenous zone. So let's start off with a bit of education about how the prostate works. This is the male anatomy. The prostate sits between the bladder and the rectum and is an incredibly important part of the male reproductive system. And because of that, it is densely compacted with nerve endings, making it very sensitive. And the prostate can be stimulated in 2 ways, internally and externally. Traditionally, stimulating the prostate internally involves inserting a finger about 2 inches inside, as shown here. But where the prostate is situated is very close to the perineum, more casually known as the taint or the gooch, the bit of skin between your balls and your butthole. This is where the prostate can be stimulated externally, and the Loki Wave hits both simultaneously. But notice how it does this? This is what's known as the come hither motion, which if you're using your hands would look like this. The easy way to remember it is that whenever you're trying to stimulate the prostate internally, the prostate is on the same side as your belly button. So if someone with a prostate is lying on their back and 2 fingers are inserted, we're going to be doing this. That come hither motion very gently massages the prostate. The Loki Wave uses wave motion technology to mimic that come hither motion perfectly. And because of its dual motors, whilst it's doing that come hither, it's simultaneously stimulating you externally on the perineum. So it's hitting 2 of the biggest male erogenous zones at the same time. It also has 12 different pleasure settings so you can find your ideal intensity. To cycle through the settings, you just use the arrows above and below the on button. Once you have found your ideal setting, you can then use the plus and the minus arrows either side of the on button to choose how intense that setting is going to be. Now, if you're completely insatiable like me, you'll ramp it straight up to the max. But some people like a slower, more sensual experience, which means you could very gradually increase the intensity. It also has extra soft premium silicone for very easy and comfortable insertion, with lube, of course. Putting my sex educator hat on, you're not putting anything up there without using lube. Doesn't matter how small you may think it is, I don't want to see any injuries. It also has up to 2 hours of battery life, so I know exactly how I'm going to be spending my evening. It's also fully waterproof, so it can be used in the bath or shower, which I didn't actually know until I researched it for this video. So now I know where I'm going to be spending my evening. And side note, prostate stimulation is for anyone that has a prostate, regardless of your sexual orientation. So if you're a guy watching this and you are straight, introducing this into the bedroom with your girlfriend will probably change your life. Because trust me, having an orgasm whilst your prostate is being stimulated is like nothing you'll ever experience. Or maybe you've already explored prostate stimulation with your partner, and maybe it's time for an upgrade. Because the last time I checked, people can't vibrate. Now let's talk about how the Loki Wave 2 compares to the original. Because being completely honest, they look identical. One of the key noticeable differences is that the Loki Wave 2 has 2 additional pleasure settings. The original only had 10. The Loki Wave 2 has 12. So the newer version gives you greater variety to help you find your ideal setting. The pleasure settings themselves, as well as the ergonomics of the Loki Wave, have been improved for a smoother experience. Now, before filming this video, I decided to test them both out, which is why I missed my deadline for uploading this video. I did get a bit distracted. But having tested them both, there was one clear difference that really stood out to me: the speed of the come hither motion. One of them is noticeably much faster. I did also notice a very slight difference in the intensity of the 2. I'm being 100% honest, this one is more intense. I think maybe because they've smoothed out the pleasure settings, this one has become more refined. And ultimately, I wouldn't necessarily say it's an improvement, but it's certainly not worse. It's just different. Choosing which one of these to go for, I think, fully depends on your own personal preferences. If you are someone who prefers a slower and more sensual experience, that's what I believe the Loki Wave 2 has been tailored for. Having more and smoother pleasure settings, I think, makes for a more sensual experience, if you're someone who likes to take your time and build up the intensity. Whereas with the original, I wouldn't personally say there was anything wrong with the intensity of the settings. But that's because I'm a pro. I'm not being cocky, it's just true. I have a personal preference for a more intense experience. And the original Loki Wave is certainly very intense, which is why it's one of my all-time favorites. I honestly think the main thing to consider when deciding between the two is the fact you cannot adjust the speed of the come hither motion. Maybe that's something they need to introduce, hinting very subtly. But that still doesn't take away from the incredible variety that exists on both products. Both feel absolutely incredible. I personally just feel they have very slightly different approaches to pleasure. Slightly slower but with greater variety, but still very intense. A little bit less variety, but even more intense. It also depends on your experience level. Being a pro myself, I have a greater capacity for taking intensity. So if you are one of these people that maybe wants to experiment with having your prostate massaged, the Loki Wave 2 is the clear winner. Or if you're a baller, you could just get both. Speaking of which, let's talk about the price. Doing the job that I do, I have tested many sex toys. I am currently sat on a double bed, and half of what is under here is dedicated to sex, most of which are toys. And what I can say is that when it comes to a lot of massagers, my personal experience is that once you've put it in and it's vibrating, I'm aware that it's vibrating, and it feels nice, don't get me wrong, but that's kind of it. It's like when someone's almost hitting the spot, but they're just not quite there. They're almost circling it, and it's not giving you that toe curling sensation. The Loki Wave is one of the first ever LELO toys I tried, and my eyes were rolling into the back of my head, almost instantly. Whereas other brands, my eyes were still rolling back, but more because I was bored. That is why when it comes to the price point of LELO's toys, they tend to be above market. Yes, they are pricey, but that is because the sensations they deliver are truly unmatched in my opinion. It's also because they're an investment. The quality of these products means they are built to last. This baby is over 4 years old, and it's still making my toes curl more than anything else, including most guys. Now, if you're on the fence about whether or not to invest in one of these toys, I do have a little present for you. You can use code MAX20 on the LELO website for 20% off your order, which is stackable with other discounts on the website. Just saying. Now, this is the first ever full product review I'm doing on the CLIMAX channel. It's actually the first ever full product review I've ever done, but I am so happy it has been for the Loki Wave and Loki Wave 2, because it is by far the favorite toy I own, and I own about 50. At least, I've kind of lost count. But I hope you found this informative and you've learned something about this toy, whether you're just watching because you follow me and you've seen the video, or you have specifically Googled to find a review. Anyway, having spent the last hour filming this video talking in detail about how incredible these toys are, I think I need to go now. But thank you for watching, and I hope you make the right choice.